In our very first story, 3 building inspectors at Okankwe North Sub Metro have been arrested by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly and subsequently handed over to the police over failures in their monitoring activities, blamed for the collapse of the multi-story complex at Niboy Town here in Accra. The owner of the collapsed building, who was declared wanted yesterday, has also been taken into custody.
The public relations officer of the AMA suggested negligence on the part of the 3 officials.
The building inspectors, 3 building inspectors, actually, we have 2 and then a leader. The leader is George Benefo, with the 2 assistants, Frank Lati and then George Ejari. If you look through, we have a code of ethics, the code of operations and all that. So since you've been able to serve somebody about 3 times notice to stop work and the person is not stopping the work, there are further processes they should have taken the person through to bring him to book, which they failed to do that. So the assumption is that there might have been some connivance somewhere. That's why they've been handed over to the police to further investigate the issues, and then when they are found culpable, they can be prosecuted.
He says the 3 will assist with investigations. Numo Blafo also confirmed the arrest of the owner of the structure, an annex of the Grand View Hotel. So
the owner of the building, Mr. Samuel Kweku Babu Omari, has also been handed over to the police. Yes, we invited him this morning and we met with him. In short, apparently it came out that he doesn't even have title to the land he's doing the development on. Therefore, that is also another requirement, or the first requirement for a permit. You should be the owner of the land before we can even look at the other documents that you are required, especially for a public place. There are so many things that should go or that are required before a permit is issued for someone to do a development. And this person has not even given 1 document, but yet look at where he has reached in developing. So you can see that there is some kind of there's a problem somewhere which the police need to investigate and then come up with the true facts, and then if need be, people are prosecuted for not abiding by simple rules that will make us all safe within the metropolis.
The Accra Metropolitan Assembly has, in a related development, ordered the immediate closure of the Grand View Hotel, found on the same compound as the collapsed structure. It is to be subjected to a complete structural assessment to ensure it is safe for occupation. Matilda Pomaga for JoyNews, Accra.
Well, some displaced residents of Niboy Town, where the story building collapsed on Thursday, have accused officials of the National Disaster Management Organization of failing to provide them shelter after they were made to vacate their homes to enable the rescue team carry out their duties.
2 houses were affected when the 6-story uncompleted building collapsed Thursday dawn. Security personnel had to declare some part of the area, including the 2 houses, a disaster scene. Occupants of these houses claim they had to spend the night outside as there were no arrangements made by NADMO to accommodate them.
Because of Niamano, I did my cousin, me and yet and I be a dear money man, and I me near my enemy dying collapse. And then they hear me. And I saw my obino mattress, and so young and baby da, I done homeless. You need baby da, my baby da. My mattress, and so you need baby da. Obino quarantine hotel, least guard you take or die. And I may say, Madame for. Oh, Madame for so banner, mint me down and nebule. Oh, and send them bear, not more, baby, my name down on the pet, see.
Well, Nadmo in my house we are 15. Nadmo brought us about 8 mattresses and 8 blankets, bags of rice and some oil. Honestly, I have a very good friend who came around yesterday, and he took me to the hotel and paid for a room for 1 night for me. But with the rest, my siblings and stuff, they were all just here. Anywhere you could find, you sleep. Yeah, so they didn't really have rest anyway. They didn't really sleep. For now, we need a mobile toilet there and where we can sleep, because we cannot go far from here. We have our things in the rooms there. You understand? We have our own things there. The tenants are also there. So there is no way we could go far from here. So for now, we need shelter where we can spend the night. It's past 12 now. You can all see.
So morning,
David slept on the road.
Two of the policemen saw us and said,
So you didn't have a place to
No,
sleep?
we don't have anywhere to sleep.
They didn't even rent a
Then we are going to room about again.
The Greater Accra Regional Coordinator for NADMO, however, says the residents will have to make do with the relief items provided so far.
Looks like the understanding I'm getting is that we have forced them to vacate their homes. We have done so in their own interest. We think that it is not safe for them to continue to be in their homes whilst we continue to clear the debris. If they get that one right, then we'll come to the second issue. The second issue is that once you are affected, life cannot be as comfortable as it was for you before the disaster. So we are all sacrificing. Most of us as staff have had to pass the night here. Right. The concept is that NADMO has a lot of volunteers. So when such disasters strike, we appeal to people in the neighborhood. Some of them take some of these distressed people on. Those who for some reason could not get neighbors to pass the night with, were given the opportunity to come with us to our head office, where we could provide accommodation for them. Some of them declined.
Meanwhile, rescue work is still ongoing at the site of the collapsed building. Officials say it might take 3 days or more to clear the rubble from the site. Matilda Bomagan for JoyNews, Accra.
The Ghana Highway Authority is creating a diversion on a portion of the Accra-bound lane of the Accra-Tema motorway to allow for the reconstruction of a broken bridge. The diversion is expected to be completed Sunday for construction to begin.
Only 3 lanes are in use at the moment, 1 for Accra-bound vehicles and 2 for Tema-bound vehicles. Beginning Monday, there will be only 2 lanes available as traffic will be directed onto the Tema-bound lanes. The Ghana Highway Authority is asking motorists to be cautious when they get to this part of the motorway.
The speed limit on the motorway is as high as 100 kilometers per hour, but with the management scheme, speeds have to be reduced from 100 kilometers per hour to 70 as you approach, then to 50, and as you are entering the constructed area, you have to drive at 30 kilometers per hour. What I want to advise motorists is that as they approach the constructed area where we are going to work, they need to approach the area with caution and not to slow down and look at the workers around, because that is another cause of congestion on our roads.
As a result of the diversion, both Accra and Tema-bound vehicles will share 2 lanes for about 100 meters on the 19-kilometer stretch.
We have created the first diversion there. That will be the in. When you are driving from Tema, you drive in from that side. You join the Accra route, then come out this way to come and join the Tema-bound, and you can now drive. We have completed the base work. We are putting finishing touches so that tomorrow or by Sunday we can put bitumen. We put a quota, we can put bitumen on this red surface. Then we can close the road now for the construction of the demolition of the bridges for its starting.
The Director of Maintenance of Frimpong is assuring motorists there will be no compromise on quality.
We are going to take quality control tests along the line, so we can assure the Ghanaian public that the quality will be good. We have even sought the assistance of Sonitra to do the construction for us. So as you can see, their hammers are around, their compressors are around. They've brought the lighting system so that they could work day and night. So as far as quality is concerned, we can assure you that it will be adhered to.
Officials explain motorists will have to endure the inconvenience for the 6 weeks it will take for the bridge to be repaired. Meanwhile, hawkers have taken advantage of the traffic build-up around the bridge to do business, with mini warehouses quickly springing up on the fringes.
A team from the Ghana National Fire Service and the Ghana Ambulance Service Friday morning rescued a student trapped in the wreckage after an accident on the George Walker Bush Highway at Jowolo in Accra. It took over 2 hours for the rescue team to bring out the accident victim. A DAF trailer had trapped him and 2 others in a saloon car in the accident, which happened around 4 a.m. The DAF trailer, which was carrying cement, slammed into the rear of the Toyota Corolla after the saloon car tried to overtake it. The trailer is said to have pushed the car off the road and crashed into the metal railings on the George Walker Bush Highway at Jowolu. The DAF truck continued its impact until a street lamp brought it to a stop. Now, the electricity supply situation is set to get worse as the Electricity Company of Ghana has indicated it will release a load shedding program next week. Even before the release of the schedule, the country has had to endure erratic power outages in the past few weeks, which authorities described as a load management program. The Volta River Authority and Gridco say the latest development is the result of a shortfall in supply of gas from Nigeria. ECG is however yet to determine the volumes to be shed, as they are still in talks with stakeholders in the power sector. Power generation has however dropped according to the VRA owing to a decline in production at the Suno Nasogli thermal plant, which is producing 150 megawatts of power instead of the optimal 180 megawatts. We're taking a break now. We're back with more news. Stay tuned. The leadership of Parliament is taking up recent bribery allegations made by a senior member against MPs, vowing to get to the bottom of the matter. The Speaker has also directed an ad hoc committee formed to fashion out a code of ethics for its members to speed up the process and present its report for adoption.
The Majority Leader, Benjamin Kumbo, in his statement on the floor said the leadership intends to engage the Nadoli Kaleo MP, Abang Bagbin, to establish the truth in his claims.
Mr. Speaker, it must be stated that it is in the interest of this country to help strengthen Parliament to perform its functions effectively. It is in this regard that the leadership of the House has taken particular interest in the allegations attributed to the Honourable Member for Nadoli Kaleo. The House accordingly asked the leadership to engage the member concerned on the matter and advise Parliament on it. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Member is still out of the jurisdiction on official assignment, and leadership would engage him on his return.
The Minority Leader, Osechi Mensah Bunsu, in his contribution to the issue suggested the dependence on assistance from other bodies could be misconstrued as bribery, thus the need for the House to be financially independent in the discharge of their duties.
Parliament as an institution has the oversight responsibility in respect of the other arms of government to ensure value for money. And if in pursuing our assignments, we ourselves become compromised, it will not serve any useful purpose performing our constitutionally mandated responsibilities. It will derogate from our own effort. So it's important that we set our House in order, but we must be armed with the facts first. So, Mr. Speaker, restraint and circumspection are the words that I will prefer to my colleagues.
The Speaker deferred comments on the matter until the leadership meets with the member in question, but used the opportunity to stress the need for the House to have a code of ethics.
It is important that the ad hoc committee that was set up sometime in July last year submit report to the House as early as possible.
The committee responsible for the drawing of the Code of Ethics had attributed the delay to the unavailability of funds to conclude its work, a point reiterated by the Vice Chair, Papa Wusu-Ankuma.
We've done all the preliminary work. It is left for a validation workshop for the committee to be done. The last time I heard, the chairman informed me that he was facing some financial challenges, and having regard to events of the past few days, I wish to assure the House that we will try and speed up the process.
Some members were also concerned about the failure of the Committee of Selection to submit its report to the House for the reorganization of the various committees of Parliament. Meanwhile, 4 ministers have been scheduled to meet the House next week to respond to questions from the members of the House. They are the Ministers of Education, Trade and Industry, Roads and Highways, and Water Resources, Works and Housing.
The Ghana Immigration Service has announced the establishment of the National Enforcement and Intelligence Bureau to strengthen the intelligence and enforcement network of the service. The Bureau is to also develop pragmatic, effective, efficient and intelligence gathering mechanisms to support national security.
Director of Immigration, COP Dr. Peter Riedu said the establishment of the Bureau was in line with the immigration plans to meet its strategic objectives of managing migration, defending against irregular migration, and contributing to national security. He said the amalgamation of the intelligence and enforcement units to form the new Bureau under a single leadership was one of the strategies to ensure that its activities were well coordinated and strategically aligned to support intelligence-led operations. The new bureau shall include the Enforcement, Intelligence, Anti-Human Smuggling and Trafficking in Persons Unit and a Document Fraud Expertise Center. Head of the Enforcement and Intelligence Bureau and Assistant Director of Immigration, Lord Ofori Ifrifa, bemoaned the lack of logistics, including computers and vehicles, to help the service carry out its work effectively.
If enforcement has to be effective, the Enforcement and Intelligence Bureau has to be very well resourced in terms of logistics and personnel. Now, intelligence and enforcement, there's a lot of movement. The foreigners are scattered everywhere, and you have to move out there to effect immigration control. You have to move out there to gather intelligence. Unfortunately, there's a shortage of vehicles in the system. And now that we want to create regional bureaus in almost every region, the demand for vehicles is even going to become higher. So that is one major challenge that we would expect management and the government to look at, resources in terms of vehicles. Now we also have to look in terms of the capacity of the officers. We have to train them to be able to do the job that we want them to do.
He said the service will need to train officers in various aspects of investigations and intelligence methods, and that funds will be needed for both its covert and overt operations. Meanwhile, companies and organizations have been asked to comply with the country's immigration laws in recruiting foreigners to work with them. Failure to do so could make such companies liable to prosecution.
A new 2-story police station funded solely from corporate donations has been commissioned at Atani here in Accra. The building, valued at more than 500,000 Ghana cedis, has various cells and offices as well as an ultra-modern charge office. Interior Minister Kwesi Ahoy, who commissioned the edifice, urged other districts to learn from the Atani example. Gifty Ando-Apia has more.
One individual can make a difference, as exhibited by the Deputy Superintendent and his team. It's something that the police service must take very seriously. All of you officers and men, wherever you are, in whichever part of the country you find yourself, remember that you can make a difference that can translate and help take the burden off the back of the government that doesn't always have the resources to meet our needs.
The Interior Minister was among a host of security heads at the commissioning ceremony. He said the idea will be sold especially to the newly created districts in the country to lessen the pressure on government to provide police stations.
We've just come up with a lot of district assemblies. So we expect government to provide police stations for all these district assemblies. We know it's a tall task for the government. I will be meeting my colleague, the Minister for Local Government. I would ask him to make it a point that the district assemblies emulate the Atani example and call for partnership that will also enable us to have something similar like this in our community.
The new police station has 3 cells, a male, female and juvenile cell, an ultra-modern charge office, an ICT center, conference rooms and offices for detectives and other investigators. The Municipal Police Commander of Adenta, who is credited with the initiative, DSP Stephen Kofi Ahiatafu, spoke of other plans for the jurisdiction.
I am even thinking about living accommodation for the personnel. And I have finished with all the groundworks with State Housing Corporation. And they want to have, accommodation for constable to corporal, sergeant to inspector, their officers. Then even here at the corner there, they want to have a barracks for us here. Then we have a land also at Lakeside. They have a plan of going there also to put up a barracks. So for me, I don't know how long I will remain here. Otherwise, I will continue.
The project was started in December 2011 and has been supported by several corporate organizations and real estate firms who were approached for assistance by the municipal commander. It will cater for Adenta Station, Ayimensa, Umaijo, Fafaha, Lakeside and Oibi. The police service has had infrastructural constraints for years, hence the pitching of this gesture for emulation by the police command. Gifty Andopia, JoyNews, Adenta.
Minister for the Interior, Kwesi Ahua, has meanwhile urged the police to strive to reclaim its authority and respect amongst the public, having lost it for some years now. He dreaded the situation where the country will suffer a state of lawlessness due to the lack of respect for the police. He was speaking at Adentang during the commissioning of a new building for the police there.
The new Ghana prison image has scored very high rating with the public. And I will encourage the IGP, your officers and the men to keep this up and going. You are reclaiming that respect that you have always needed, but which had eluded you for a very long time in this country. You are reclaiming that recognition as a source of authority. You are the embodiment of enforcement of the laws and of this country, the laws of this country, without which will be a lawless country. And any country that doesn't have a police force that commands respect, authority, and recognition is lost. That country is lost. Ghana was heading that way. We haven't come out of it yet. I will hammer that point until we reach the destination, where when you see the policeman, you see that you are facing authority.
The lack of enough classrooms for students of the St. Chiferi Methodist Junior High School in the Sujaman district of the Eastern Region is hampering quality education. Yafusa Jimfi reports that students are now having to share classrooms with their mates in neighboring schools following the collapse of one of the school blocks, leading to loss of instructional hours.
The school, since its construction in 1946, has been using this mud-thatched building as classrooms until 2003, when an NGO constructed this additional 3-classroom block. The school does not have electricity and lacks some facilities like a library, computer laboratory and staff common room for teachers. Not only students are being affected by this situation, teachers here have also improvised a staff common room where they also operate from.
Oh, the situation actually is affecting us because anytime I thought it rains, we have problems. We have to move from here to the either veranda or elsewhere. Sometimes we have to vacate school because of the situation. So it's affecting teaching and learning a lot.
The foundation for another classroom block has also been abandoned by the contractor for a year now. The old mud building, since its construction, has seen no renovation and has developed several cracks. A heavy downpour a year ago saw the roofs caved in, preventing further use of the structure. Though authorities say they have reported the issue to the Ghana Education Service, the building has not been attended to.
We have informed the District Directorate of Education, and to the best of my knowledge, they have also informed the District Assembly. Up to date, nothing has been done.
With the current situation, the school, with a student population of 230, has been forced to hold some of its lessons in one of the neighboring schools. Teachers have to walk from their school compound to other schools, reducing the lesson hours. This is one of the combined classrooms for the St. Chiferi Senior High School. The class is so congested, and during afternoon lessons, the place is so hot that students would have to be fanning themselves, disrupting their attention from what the teacher is teaching them.
The room is too warm.
and it's full of heat. The students suffer. They sometimes use their books to find themselves for fresh air. Yeah. So we suffer. Please, the Minister of Education to help, so that we get a good infrastructure for the school.
So students of the St. Chiferi Methodist Junior High School always wish that closing time would come early for them to go out of these warm classrooms which they battle out for daily. All they are hoping for is that one day the infrastructure problem of the school would be solved. They are pleading to government and benevolent societies to come to their aid. Yafosia Jemfi, Joy News, Senchi.
Medical officers at the neonatal intensive care unit of the Tema General Hospital are appealing for more incubators and cots to better care for preterm babies. Despite its constraints, the unit currently serves not only preterm babies born at the hospital, but also has to cater for referral cases from other hospitals as well.
The ward where the preterm babies are kept is congested. Divided into 3 chambers, there is hardly space for doctors and nurses to freely go about their duties. The situation is compounded by the high number of cases
from private hospitals and other districts that are closer to the Tema General Hospital bring their preterm babies to the NICU. In a week, we take care of about 20 preterms. Some stay more than 2-3 months, others take about 2 weeks and then they leave. We prefer that other philanthropists will come to the hospital and, to be precise, NICU, to find out other things that we need.
The medical officers are particularly concerned that babies sometimes have to share incubators.
A 10 baby is above 37 weeks, but sometimes you have a baby as small as 29 weeks. The lungs are not mature, so the baby cannot even survive on its own breathing, and their immune system is also low. They are at risk of having low temperature, so that's why we keep them in these incubators, to give them as if they are in their mother's womb. If we have everything that will make us be able to do more, why not? You see, we have 2 babies in 1 incubator. That is not how it's supposed to be, but our hands are tied. We can't say they should go home because we don't have any place for them, so we have to take them and pay them. So if we can get more incubators, more space, more beds, more cots, why not? So that we can take in more, because we get a lot from the other hospitals.
Dr. Danso says the unit is doing a good job considering the current constraints, but can do a lot more if they are better equipped. There is also the problem of accommodating mothers of preterm babies. They have to share this tiny corridor leading to the unit for the period that their babies are kept in the incubators. To help resolve this problem, the Little Big Souls Foundation is raising $200,000 to put up a housing unit to accommodate the mothers.
The KMC Center is going to serve as a living area where they'll have some rest. They'll be able to feed their babies, and they will actually be on hand if the doctors or the nurses need them, because most of them come from very far away places. So this place will serve as a place where, you know, they'll rest and be able to take care of their babies. They will actually be part of the care of their own babies. That's when they'll do the kangaroo mother care, and the kangaroo mother care is basically putting their babies, tying their babies to their chest so that, you know, the warmth from the mother can also, you know, keep the baby warm. We're appealing to corporate bodies, individuals, anybody who can help. Cement bags, sand, whatever it is that you can help us with will be very much appreciated.
The building, when completed, will accommodate mothers of preterm babies for free until they are discharged.
One of the accident center at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital now has a new look. Head of the accident center, Dr. Foriedu, who paid for the refurbishment of the ward, says it is his contribution towards delivering quality health care at the hospital.
The Kolebu Accident Center Ward I admits mostly children who have been involved in various forms of accidents. Before its refurbishment, the condition at the ward was an eyesore. The place had fewer washrooms to cater for the teeming number of patients, and its dressing room had fewer facilities.
The ward involved is Ward I. That is a ward for children with fractures, children who sustain fractures and other bone-related problems. So that is a ward that is dedicated. It's separate from the children's department. It's actually part of the orthopedics department, or that is under the accident center. So this ward was in a very terrible shape. It had been run down, and then there was a need to actually renovate it. And the hospital was exploring to get funding for the renovation, and then the head of department, together with his family, decided to take up the job. They invested in excess of 40,000 Ghana cedis to fix the place.
The refurbishment is complete with new hospital beds and washrooms. Health personnel at the ward advise parents to closely monitor the activities of their children to save them from accidents.
We will appeal to the mothers that in future, if these children are in trouble, the mothers will also be in trouble. Because our children are as young as 2 years, 3 years, when they close from school, they come home alone. So when they are crossing the street, most of them are knocked down by cars. Most of them are knocked down by cars. So we are appealing to parents to help the children when they close from school, when they are going to school. If even they can't go, they have to let somebody go and accompany the children.
All I want to say is that most of the time, motivation is always not about money. You see, the environment in which you work in should be motivational enough for you to give your best. So now that it has been renovated, we hope to put in our best to keep the place as it is. And we hope to give the best care of nursing to our patients too.
The ward was dedicated to a former president of the Apostolic Church of Ghana, who also happens to be the father of the head of the accident center, Dr. Ofori Ado, who paid for the refurbishment of the ward.
We have business coming up next.
Now to get you updated with some business reports with me, Abigail Adomakoinchi. Now, Finance Minister said Tekwe has called for the establishment of a National Development Bank to deepen Ghana's domestic financial market. The bank, when instituted according to the Finance Minister, will also aid government in financing huge infrastructural projects.
Ghana has not got a deep enough domestic financial market. And when you want to do 10-year financing, when you want to do beyond 5-year financing, you have to go offshore. So I was saying that what we need are like other countries that have specialized banks that look at long-term finance. Actually, that is what National Investment Bank was established to do. So my call for a National Investment Bank, you can say, is also saying look at National Investment Bank again. It's like, and we have EXIM guarantee, by the way. And so when I say we need an EXIM institution, I'm saying let us look at enhancing the role of EXIM venture capital. This is what, and I mentioned the question. I'm talking about an institutional, Ghana moving to an institutional era, part of the solutions program.
In another attempt by the business community to get the recently announced Forex regulations revised, Joy Business gathers the Ghana Union of Traders Association (GUTA) is to soon meet government and the central bank. This follows a similar move by the Association of Ghana Industries and the Ghana Real Estate Developers Association, but both called for the measures to be relaxed. The Bank of Ghana last month, in a bid to save the dwindling value of the cedi, introduced a number of measures to stabilize the cedi. This included the directive for all transactions in the country to be conducted in Ghana cedis, in compliance with the law, and limiting the dollar cash withdrawals over the counter to $10,000. In other news, the Trade Ministry has taken steps to give real meaning to plans to promote Made in Ghana goods. The Ministry, in a public notice, is requesting the services of a consultant to develop a strategy to support the consumption of local goods. According to the Ministry, it intends to use part of its budget allocation to drive this initiative. President Mahama last month announced a series of measures to support industries and promote locally manufactured goods, while some analysts say this has been influenced by plans to cut down on Ghana's import bill to help stabilize the local currency. Others, however, believe this should not be the approach. We go straight to Senchi, where traders operating at the Senchi and Akrade landing base are distressed about a dip in patronage of their wares since the closure of the Atani bridge. Some attribute this to the fees charged at ferry stations which motorists say are too high. This, they say, has driven traffic away from the area onto the Horse to Gakope Accra road, which has now become the preferred route.
Expressing distress about survival of their families in the poor economic situation, the traders are pleading with authorities to reconsider the fares. Some drivers who spoke to JoyNews off camera also lamented about the high tolls. Motorbikes pay 1 Ghana cedi, saloon cars and tricycles pay 10 Ghana cedis, while pickups and vans pay 12 Ghana cedis. Also, buses and trucks are paying 15 Ghana cedis, while the Metro Mass Transit buses and 2 axle tippers pay 20 Ghana cedis. Adding up, articulated trucks pay 30 Ghana cedis, with low loaders paying from 40 Ghana cedis to 85 Ghana cedis depending on the category. The landing bay, which was commissioned 4 days ago, was constructed due to the 2-year maintenance work in progress on the Atani bridge, leading to its closure to vehicular traffic. Meanwhile, as the hawkers complain of low sales, this photographer, Mensa Kumi, is cashing in by selling photographs to travelers. With a copy of a picture going for 2 cedis 50 pesos, he said he made almost 100 Ghana cedis working for about 8 hours on the ferry. In the meantime, the alternative ferry boat, Ferry Akrade, has not been working since the commissioning of the bay due to the breakdown of a part, but officials are optimistic it will be repaired soon. Komlado's report for JoyNews.
Well, looks like traders would have to deal with that for 2 years. That will be all for business. My name is Abigail Adumakwenchi. Sports is up next. Do stay on.
Very latest in the world of sports, Deputy Minister Joseph Yamin will arrive in Costa Rica tonight to offer support to the Black Maidens as they open the World Cup campaign against Korea Republic. Joseph Yamin told Joy Sports before his departure the princesses would not disappoint.
Yes, I'm personally joining them to give them the government support that they need, and we hope that they make us proud. We believe that they can do it. They have what it takes to do it. They are as good as the other countries that have qualified to this stage, and so we are expecting them to give up their best. We'll be there physically, spiritually, to see them go.
The Black Maidens will play the first game against Korea Republic tomorrow at 11 p.m. We'll be following that one. Let's talk about the Commonwealth Games. And Chief Sports Development Officer, the National Sports Authority, Erasmus Adoko, has promised smooth preparations ahead of this year's Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, Scotland. Tournaments including the 2012 Olympics and 2011 All-Africa Games, which were largely handled by the Sports Authority, had unresolved issues. But Erasmus Adoko insists such mistakes would not be replicated.
What happened in 2011 cannot happen anymore, and that is why I am one of the people who was and still is full of joy for the setting up of this International Games Management Committee, which is being chaired by the Deputy Minister. You agree with me that Maputo 2011, one person was making the decision and one person was implementing. He makes the decision and says, hey, go and do this. And we're in a mess because the committee was not there. But today, what 1 or 2 people were doing those days is being done by a whole lot of people. So I'm glad this committee will come out with good reasoning for Team Ghana to be well prepared, and we shall not have a repetition of what happened in 2011.
Brecum Chelsea are heading to court to enforce a FIFA ruling over a $1.4 million plus 5% interest due payment from Esperance for the transfer of Emmanuel in 2012. The Tunisian side have failed to meet the FIFA deadline of March 5, which elapsed 8 days ago.
The Tunisian club have failed to honor the ruling after the March 5 deadline. Esperance were also to cough up $100,000 in legal fees, but have failed to pay a dime to the Ghanaian club for the transfer of striker Emmanuel. The Ghana international was sold to Esperance in 2012 on the back of an impressive display in the CAF Champions League, where he emerged top scorer of the competition with 12 goals. But the Tunisian club failed to pay Brecum Chelsea the due transfer fee, prompting a legal battle at FIFA. The World Football Governing Body on January 15 ruled, awarding $1.4 million plus 5% interest to Chelsea, payable within 1 month by Esperance. But the Tunisian Giants have failed to honor this ruling after the Match 5 deadline, which expired 8 days ago. Brecum Chelsea now look to wage another legal campaign to have further sanctions slapped on the Tunisian club in their bid to retrieve their money. Esperance risk relegation to the lowest division in Tunisia and suspension of their license to conduct player transfers to and from the club.
That's your sports. My name is George Adi Jr. Israel will join us with some more. Should be a good weekend. Good night.
Sports. 3 women in Ghana are said to experience one form of abuse or another. 2011 figures indicate over 15,000 offences against women and girls were reported across the country. Civil society group Oxfam says only 19% of the cases result in a court hearing, with a paltry 1% leading to actual convictions. Oxfam is worried about the growing phenomenon and wants government to immediately address the issue.
At the annual country review learning of Oxfam, the issues of gender justice revealed a small percentage of perpetrators are convicted for domestic violence cases.
Pressure is put upon the victims to withdraw the case for out-of-court settlement, which is against the law. Sometimes the difficulty is that the women complain that go and come, general attitude towards their case, and so they also do not go. Procuring the services of a lawyer is expensive, and of course the face of poverty, in our system is women. They don't have what it means. They are not economically empowered to even seek justice, to buy their way through.
Though the laws outline parameters for prosecuting perpetrators, charges filed against them are often not prosecuted. The levels of prosecution, coupled with attitudes and beliefs, are said to be accounting for low records at the law courts. Former Minister for Gender and Social Protection, Hajia Alima Mahama, expressed disappointment at the percentage of domestic violence convictions.
I just think that enough attention is not being paid at implementation. We are too quick to pass laws and policies, but we don't pay attention to implementation. Let's do more on implementation and be held for results on implementation, not results on policies.
As penalties for violence against women have up-to-date not helped to influence attitudes and behaviors, civil societies are calling for the passage of the Victim Support Fund to enable victims get compensation. Meanwhile, as part of Oxfam's strategic plan of reinforcing women's rights and gender justice, the organization hopes to expand its activities of training more women, especially in the rural communities, to reduce poverty levels.
But there are still issues around gender inequality that we have to address right from the community level, and these are issues of access to economic and productive resources for women across the country. So we targeted about 3,000 women and men smallholder farmers across 4 districts in northern Ghana. We are giving them training, giving them basic tools, improved seeds and other things that will help them be able to remain productive, produce enough to feed their family, but also raise additional income for them.
The program brought together beneficiaries and partners who shared experience from programs implemented by Oxfam.
The list of Ghanaian musical genres just grew by 1 with the introduction of a hybrid music form called high jazz. The music form is a fusion of high life music and jazz, created by Delali, the founder of the acclaimed cultural band Hiwale Sounds.
In the midst of raging controversies over whether or not Ghana has a music industry, some players are coming up with creative music forms to keep music alive in Ghana. Delali, leader of Hiwale Sounds, is one such person contributing to this quest with his high jazz music. He believes Ghanaians are capable of taking music to the next level solely by using instruments, something he says every musician must learn to play. Delali is also urging his colleagues to fuse the Ghanaian culture into their work, adding he is ready to offer help to anyone.
Hey, our rap or our hip life artists, I'm just urging them for them to come. I open my arm to work with them. I really want us to come together, unite Ghana. We have to show the people abroad that, hey, we don't have to use only the synthesizer to produce music. We can play, for instance, if you're going to play live and the light is off, how are you going to do? But you can play music, our music can be played without light from centuries. So I'm urging them to come together to think about how we can develop our music.
Meanwhile, the laboratory is inviting all and sundry to the launch of his high jazz music.
Music brewed in the Ghanaian port. Of African Studies, a former Minister of Higher Education, Culture and Tourism. As a prolific writer, she has written over 50 books with great passion for children, gender, culture, education and the performing arts, a trait inherited from her late mother, renowned playwright, poet, teacher and author, Ifwa Sutherland. Professor A.C. Sutherland Adi welcomes you to her home tonight at 9 p.m. on PM Personality Profile. That comes up right after this bulletin. That's it for the bulletin, though. Before we go, a quick run through our top stories. 3 building inspectors at the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, along with the owner of the collapsed multi-story complex building at Niboy Town, arrested. Ghana Highway Authority begins work on motorway diversion to allow repair of broken bridge. Leadership of Parliament to look into bribery claimed by Alvin Bagbing and vows to get to the bottom of the matter. Electricity supply situation set to get worse as Electricity Company of Ghana gets set to firm up load shedding timetable. And Oxfam says government has to address the growing phenomenon of abuse of women and girls. That's it. My name is Delali.